What is up, my cutouts? Cardboard Ninja here, coming at you with another update from Crossout. It looks as though there's two new news articles. We're going to go over those real fast. This one is regarding Radiance, the events, challenges, and answers to possible questions. What they're basically saying here is, for each event, there's a number of quests available. The amount of challenges in the chain cannot be increased right away. That would require an additional update. However, while they say that, they are also not saying that they're going to. They think that, well, for the Operation Radiance, they said that they prepared a certain amount of challenges. Due to an error with the challenge update timer, many of you receive them unevenly, which is more than once every 24 hours. According to them, if we had been doing the quests and we had been getting more than one of them every 24 hours, that would set us ahead of the Battle Pass schedule. Apparently, somehow 5 days ahead, apparently. So they don't think this is an issue because, like, in the end, you got all of the days that you were supposed to. You got all the quests that you were supposed to get. You just got them early. They say for this event, we also decided to add a few additional days, which is directly contradictory to what they just previously said. So the players who didn't have the opportunity to play every day have no problem completing all of the accumulated challenges. Additionally, days do not offer new challenges and only serve to complete those you have already accumulated, as well as provide new parts for the workbench. From now on, we will try to inform you about all important features and changes in the mechanics of events, if any, to prevent any misinterpretation. Long story short, GFSS. Get fucked. Stay salty. In effect, what they're saying is, hey, that's on you. We effed up. We gave you the rewards too quickly, and they finished before the end of the event. JK, that's literally what they said here. And then JK, what we meant to say was, we did it intentionally. We did it intentionally to make sure you had enough time to complete them all. Which is it? Don't know. Doesn't really matter. Long story short, if you have the Radiance pack, level 37 is the highest level you can achieve without spending money. And that is that. But let's go to the planned balance changes for the Dronepocalypse update. For those of us who are familiar, Dronepocalypse is the event that shows up where there's giant leviathans that drive around and everyone plays a little drone. And as we all know, the Jiboku is one of the most powerful versions of that, as you can kill tons and tons of enemy players, or the fuse drone, as you do. So these are a bunch of rebalancings that are coming down from on high for common and special rarity. These are actually really big changes, not going to lie. So the Gorilla is gaining more energy, more tonnage. You'll have less mass. I'm sorry, you'll get more energy, less tonnage and mass. Increased power score. So tonnage and mass are at lower power scores, not necessarily reached, but that energy is huge. And this is going to be a very common theme throughout all of the updates that are coming to all of these parts. So for the Duster, it's going to have more durability, which is irrelevant. The mass is going down, which is fine, gives you 50 more tonnage to work with. More tonnage to work with, and the power score is being increased. So the Duster, for those of us who don't know, is the smallest cabin in Crossout. Really, really small. And, yeah, these are great changes because right now it's almost impossible to use. It used to be one of the most powerful cabins in Crossout because of the fact that nobody could kill you because it was a really tiny object to hit. But good changes all around. The Thug, terrible cabin, instead of having 9 energy, going to 10, power score increase. There you go. So instead of having those odd bits of low energy, you're getting a lot more energy, basically. Across the board. Sprinter cabin. No longer will it be a medium cabin. It's going to light cabin. Instead of giving 9 energy, it's going to 10. So far, so good, except tonnage is going down from 28 to 24. Mass limit is going way down from 6k to 4.7k, so you're losing 1.3k mass. Max speed is increased, but you're losing even more power, down to 25%, and the power score is going up to 450. The Sprinter cabin is an interesting cabin because of the fact that it barely functions right now. It's slow. It's very slow. It's one of the 2 cabins in the game that really don't have a good acceleration curve despite its speed, and now it's going to be even slower to accelerate. It's going to be pretty brutal, but it's low power score, so it's not terrible. Also, 1 more energy. I mean, what people pay for 1 energy is ridiculous, so I mean, they'll do it in a heartbeat. The Huntsman cabin is going from 9 to 10. Tonnage is going up. Mass limit coming down, power score is being increased. Again, You're going to see this all over the place. Huntsman is yet another of the trucker cabins. This is just keeping it in line with all the other truck cabins. The WWT1 is going up to 10. Tonnage is going up. Mass limit is coming down. Power score is going up. Docker going up to 9. Mass is being reduced. So even though it is at one of the beginner heavy cabins, you're losing 400. I'm sorry. The mass of the cabin is going down, which is good. The tonnage is coming down, which is bad because you're gaining 400, but you're losing 1,000, so you're losing 600. And the mass limit is also being reduced by 1,000 as well. But again, nobody uses the Docker, but now people who are leveling up are going to have, well, more energy to play with. Wyvern cabin. It's going to give 11 instead of 10. The tonnage is going to be going down. The mass limit will be reduced. Hot red. This is insane. 11 energy hot red. That's amazing. Hot red was already a really good cabin. Now that brings it up to be on par with the growl. Really good. Bear going to 11 energy instead of 10. The bear was already, in my opinion, the best of the truck cabins, and now it just is better. It's just better. The tonnage is even going up, but the mass limit is coming down. Well, yeah. Fury, 11 energy. So the Fury was in competition with the bear. They're staying lockstep with each other. It looks as though the tonnage is coming down from 45 to 4,000, which is interesting because it's going to have less tonnage than the bear, and the mass limit's coming down as well. But then again, remember the Fury is 5 kilometers an hour faster than the bear. The Jockey is going to 11 as well. The Jockey is the heaviest of the blue cabins, and its mass limit's coming down by 1,000 as well. The Trucker, which was arguably a dookie cabin for many reasons, is getting an energy. Its tonnage is coming down. Its mass limit's being reduced. So that's kind of rough because the Trucker's entire thing is being basically the big mass, low power score cabin. But then again, everybody wants more energy. All of those things are good reasons to get it. Low power score play is coming up basically because they're gaining energy out of all of that. Carapace. For those of us who don't know, the Carapace is the tank cabin. It is dookie, and it's gaining 5 kilometers an hour. That will change nothing. It'll still be dog shit. The Bat. So the Bat is what I would argue to be one of the worst cabins in the game in its present iteration. However, what they're doing is they're making it a miniature Harpy. The influence of mass on acceleration is being reduced by 43%. That is really, really, really huge. This means that the Bat cabin is going to be fast, real fast. Like, it's hard to explain how fast that's going to be. 43% off mass on acceleration means that this thing is going to be a true step up from the Growl now. The Growl to the Bat was embarrassing to be true. You basically got nothing in exchange for doubling the power score of the cabin. But now, with acceleration on mass being reduced by 43%, it means that this thing will actually have a lot of get up and go. You'll actually be able to play very fast, light builds, things that can get in and get out. That's pretty sick. The perk has been added from the Harpy, which increases the number of extra charge from ammo packs and microfactory modules by 20%, and blast radius is increased by 10%. So there you go, mini Harpy. Pilgrim, for those of us who don't know, the Pilgrim was already pretty bamf. Now it's even more bamfer because it is now the equivalent of the Quantum, except just a little bit worse. The Quantum is 30% increase. This is gaining a 15% increase to heated parts. So you know that if you heat them up, you get bonus damage. Usually it's 100%. This is going to make it 115%. That's actually amazing. The Pilgrim didn't need a buff, to be honest, and now it has one. So it makes it an energy cabin that you can have access to at lower power scores. Neat. The Jawbreaker is becoming a mini Humpback. Its tonnage is being reduced, its mass limit is being reduced, but you get 15% bonus damage after taking 1,000 damage. That's actually really good. Jawbreaker takes a lot of damage. Funny story, all of these cabins are found in raids, and I can't wait to be hit by effing Steppenwolf raid cabins. Anyway, other changes in parts. The Carjack. This part will no longer drain energy. The power score is being reduced. It will not be possible to install more than one Carjack on a vehicle. So the Carjack meta is over, chat. If you remember the Carjack meta, nobody does. It's not a thing. That's not a thing. I mean, only people who were trying to discount boost the Yongwangs were using Carjacks. After using the module, the armored car will receive a penalty to speed and power for 5 seconds, and the time to activate the Carjack will be reduced from 15 to 10 seconds. All right. They're saying we would like to make the module more popular as well as give players a choice. Wait 10 seconds till the automatic jack is activated or install the module and be able to immediately return to combat after being turned over, but at the cost of short-term loss of mobility. So, first and foremost, this is two changes in one. One, originally when we played Crossout way back in the day, if you lost control of your build, you were flipped over for 30 seconds. It was a death sentence. Realizing that that was a death sentence, they were like, wait a minute, hold on, this is just a straight up death sentence. We're going to reduce that to 15 seconds. There we go, problem solved. Still a death sentence, in 15 seconds, you're dead. So now they're reducing it from 15 to 10 seconds. So if you're flipped onto your back, 10 seconds later, you get to pop back up. But screw that noise, you can have a carjack. You could always have a carjack. Most of the time you would ignore this module because it cost 1 energy. It was useful only in low power scores to get your vehicle back on its feet, and it still does so, but now it will cost no energy, and it will cost you, though. You'll right yourself, but you'll receive some form of penalty to speed and power for 5 seconds. So, it's a wash. Honestly, I don't see myself installing this on many of my own builds, only because of the fact that you shouldn't plan on flipping over anyway. Most builds are built to the 80 part limit, and I don't know. I just don't see myself necessarily needing it, but in the future, almost every car is going to have a carjack at some point. It's the future, chat. The Avenger 57mm. Firearm damage will be reduced by 9%. Mass will be increased from 374.68, and ammo will be reduced from 35 to 20. Analysis of statistics after previous changes to reduce energy drain while improving other parameters show the weapon has become too effective for a weapon of the common rarity. So people were running around with 4 of these on hovers as you do, and just clapping people in the face, or running hovers with 3 of them at lower power scores and things like that, which is hilarious. That's fine. The Avenger 57 is dookie. It's not exactly meta. You can't fuse it. Not worried about it. The Ampere, the durability will be increased from 30 to 45 points. Hey, all right. The gas gen durability will increase from 36 to 72 points. All right. Both generators, in comparison with other generators, including the Thor, have a very poor ratio of survivability to damage caused by detonation relative to other generators. This is obvious. For those of us who are unfamiliar, the Ampere, the gas gen, and the Thor all explode for frickloads of damage. The Ampere explodes for somewhere in the neighborhood of 380, something like that. The gas gen explodes for 499, which is effectively a 500, and the Thor I don't have yet to have a chance to actually test. But the sheer fact that, you know, it's going to be one of those light durability, high explosives, is going to be pretty big. It's going to be huge. They're just giving it more hit points. So the Ampere can last in a fire puddle for 2 or 3 more ticks. The gas gen has doubled its hit points. That's insane. That is insane. 72, by the way, is not a lot of hit points. I'm not going to lie. It's not a lot of hit points. But it can actually stay in a gas puddle and not just instantaneously ignite now. That's pretty cool. The biggest change coming is the ML200 legs. The ability to mount the legs on all sides of the armored car will be added. Expect people to want to purchase ML200 legs now just to try it out. It's probably still going to be dog shit because it doesn't look like they're increasing the speed. The animation of the legs is going to be changed. The legs will no longer stand parallel to each other. Their placement will resemble the legs of a spider. That sounds pretty neat, but that means a lot of builds that are out there right now are going to die. I'm not mad at that. I don't particularly care one way or the other. I mean, the ML200s need to be fixed, so I will gladly accept whatever they're changing. The model's hitbox will be slightly reduced. This is fine, except it means that you won't be able to protect what's underneath your build as easily, but once again, you'll be able to put legs on all sides of your build anyway. Durability will be reduced from 810 to 750. That is a pretty big hit, but the legs are going to be harder to hit anyway. The height oh, Jesus Christ. The height within which the legs are still trying to find a point of contact when they come off the ground will be increased. So, I don't know what that means. I'm going to assume that when people wedge you, anybody who's been wedged with legs knows that they just kind of curl up to the side and then they just become useless. Maybe it will make it more difficult for you to be wedged or pushed around like a little baby. Comment. Frontal mounting is aimed at expanding capabilities of in-game constructor. Great. I mean, we've got other frontal mounted parts. It's been a long time coming. The changes in animations will be aimed only at visual improvement. Because of these changes, the hitbox and the durability movement parts were slightly reduced. Changes in height should be reduced in the number of situations where the legs bend and doesn't look for a point of contact. So, yeah. That's what I was talking about, where the legs just curl up and give up at trying to move you. Although the length of a straightened mechanical leg allows it. Big Ram power penalty will be reduced from 25 to 20%. It's a 5% increase to Big Rams. Big Rams were already better than ML200s. They're just making sure it stays that way, from what I can tell. But then again, I think I have heard that people have been saying that there are issues with the Big Rams in this patch right now where you basically lost a lot of acceleration. Drop something in comments below if you know anything about the Big Rams. Because that's all I know. I used to have Big Ram walkers all the time, but I have yet to actually go back and rebuild them. I have tons of legs, but I haven't done them. So, Icarus 4's power score increased from 220 to 350. Icarus 7 power score increased from 220 to 300. Comment, no shit, we obviously keep having seal clubbers on hovers. Like, I could read what they say, but it's going to be exactly what I just said. We're happy with current parameters of hovers, especially considering the planned changes on fire harm damage projectiles, after which a lot can change, but in the 5,000 to 600 power score range, they stand out too much, especially Icarus 4s? Really, Icky 4s? What am I missing? What are Icky 4s doing in 5 to 6K? A nerf to the Catalina, a very, very ultra minor nerf to the Catalina that will affect nothing. The minimum delay between the accumulation of the bonuses will be increased from 3 to 4 seconds, which means that you're looking at best 40 seconds or so before reaching max cap, but it's not going to change anything. The amount of damage required to accumulate a bonus when using weapons of common rarity will be increased by 12%. The reason why they're doing this is because of the Avenger, which I mentioned earlier, but that's all. This is just a nerf specifically to Avenger Catalinas and nothing else. The perk of the ST M26 Tackler is now implemented through damage blocking rather than damage resistance. This is due to technical features and optimization. I have to look into this. I would have absolutely sworn the perk of the STM26 Tackler is using damage blocking right now, and they're changing it to damage resistance. That's what I believe is happening. I'm going to test this before and after the patch gets dropped, just so everyone can know whether or not it's a buff or a nerf. But if I recall correctly from earlier patch notes, it was a nerf, and from what I can see in game, this uses damage air quotes blocking and not damage resistance. And I think they're moving it to damage resistance. But we'll find out. I will get more information for you guys on that. I believe this is actually supposed to be a nerf, and they just wrote it here backwards, but I will double check. Because if I'm right, it currently uses damage blocking. The AM5 Avalanche, huge nerf, because there is a issue with the Avalanche where the projectile doesn't lose direct firearm damage when destroying vehicle parts. This means that if you avalanche through somebody, the direct firearm damage just keeps going, as in it has a blast component and a shell component. The shell component was not being reduced as it plowed through builds. I think I can attest to that because I think I took a shot through an entire build that took 700 damage even because it hit my cabin. But yeah, so therein is a nerf to the Avalanche. Huge nerf to the Omamori. Fixed an issue, air quotes, where the damage absorbed by the Omamori was further, repeatedly, reduced by the resistance upgrade, the talent of the co-driver Grizzly, or any other similar perk. So what this means is, and I should have put a video out for this a long time ago, but it doesn't really matter. There's something called damage resistance in this game. Damage resistance, damage blocking, and I'm not saying there are two different types, damage resistance and damage blocking. Ignore all of that. All that matters is that whether damage resistance or blocking, the Omamori was being put at the very tail end of that formula. So what you're thinking is, well, what does that matter, Cardboard Ninja? Just get to the point. It meant that if you had, let's say, a Bastion cabin and the frontal plate blocked 50% damage and you put the Omamori on top of that, the amount of damage that you would take would be 25% damage if they struck your frontal plate. However, half of the damage would first be halved by the frontal plate of the Bastion and then be halved by the Omamori, which means that half of that damage, which is only 25% of that damage, would go to the Omamori's shield, thereby increasing the amount of damage that the Omamori can block. Instead of 300, it now is 600, because it's taking half of the damage that's supposed to. And this is true for everything, including the Grizzly perk. This is true for the Ermac perk. This is true for every perk. So the Omamori was coming in dead last on that damage stacking scale. So you could then have the Omamori block, the Omamori's 300 hit point reservoir would end up being extended by every form of damage resistance that you could possibly get. This is being air quotes fixed, aka nerfed. They're putting it at the very front of the line, which means that you will still get the damage resistance. It's still going to stack exactly as it used to, except it's going to that damage shield before anything else in that line. So let's assume you have the Bastion again. Instead of it hitting the Bastion's front plate and being halved by the plate and then being halved by the Omamori, no. It's being halved by the Omamori first, which means that if you take 100 damage, 50 damage goes to the Omamori shield, and then 50% of that will be halved by the blade of the Bastion, and so on and so forth. And this is the same for the Ermac. This is going to be the same for everything else that you put on your build. So what this means is the Omamori is going to be vastly weaker than it was before. Doesn't seem like that much weaker if you don't understand damage reduction in Crossout, but it actually is. This means that you can no longer hide the Omamori behind all of those things that I just said, making it so your weapons are effectively immortal and unremovable. So there you go. If you're using Grizzly, which gives you a 33% sorry, not 33%, 30%, air quotes, Crossout damage distance, it's actually closer to 23.04%. Which was extending the duration of your Omamori. That's not going to work anymore. The Omamori, I mean, you'll still get the damage resistance to the parts, but the Omamori is going to break a lot sooner. It's going to break 30% faster as you do. All right, Annihilator. The drone's maximum flight speed will be reduced from 150 to 90 kilometers an hour. That is a Methuselah of a nerf. The reduction of speed and power to the cabin will be 3% instead of 4%. The drone durability will be increased from 58 to 84%, and the damage will be increased by 6%. Okay, so it's going to be more viable as an attack weapon, but people are going to easily be able to just drive away from it, unless you're in a heavy cabin or medium cabin, and which point you're still fucked and changes nothing. It's just a more powerful opponent. Their comment is that the previous flight speed and size of the penalty to the enemy's speed and power was almost impossible to break the distance and drive away from the Annihilator. Mind you, just so we're clear, you usually bring 3 Annihilators anyway. This isn't going to change shit. Like, if someone brings 3 Annihilators, you will be stopped. You're not going to get away. It doesn't matter what cabin you're bringing unless you're bringing the Kami. These changes are aimed to equalize the 2 types of counterplay, which is destroying a drone or breaking the distance, without drastically changing the overall effectiveness of the weapon. There you go. So we are not getting the projectile changes in the upcoming patch, which is to be expected. I mean, there's a lot that they have to work out. But front-mounted ML200s, that's going to be interesting. Can't wait to see all of the builds that are going to be using those. Yeah. Bunch of changes to low-tier play. So if anyone ends up using these lower-tier cabins, you're going to be in a pretty good way, which means I have to redo my freaking cabin tier list because the Bat will no longer be double D tier. Yeah. Carjack mechanics, I mean, it's just 5 seconds faster. Basically, long story short, if you don't use the carjack at all, congratulations, it's just 5 seconds faster. You're going to be able to self-right yourself just a little bit faster. Yeah, other than that, I don't know how many more vehicles are going to use this module to instantly right themselves. A 5-second penalty is pretty rough. But yeah, more durable generators and legs. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Someone tell me about the Big Rams changes and how they feel about these Icarus buffs / nerfs. They're not buffs, they're just pure nerfs. They're just increasing the power score again. They're like, oopsie, we can't seem to stop people from beating up children with their flying machines. It's just how it is. But yeah, nerf the avalanche. No, I'm sorry, fix the avalanche. It is a fix. This is actually a fix because it should lose damage as the projectile passes through. But yeah, that's all. Don't want to waste any more of your time. So thank you for watching. Peace. Oh wait, before I say peace. Yeah, no. There's also, yeah, this BS in the Radiants. Still BS. Go F yourself, is what they're saying. just want to make sure they are absolutely saying that. They're like, nothing's being changed. We're not adding new levels. You reach the end, you've reached the end. That's what you're getting. You get what you get. $10. All right. Peace.